5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Here we go. Oh, the sun will come out tomorrow. Bet your bottom dollar that tomorrow there'll be sun. Just thinking about tomorrow. Clears away the cobwebs and the sorrow till there's none. Here we go. When I'm stuck with a day. Okay. Hi, Elaine. Elaine is always here. Hi, Elaine. Kathy, where are you from, folks? Tell me where you're from. Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. That's a cool place. The Fishers from Indiana. Hi from Tennessee. Yay, yay, yay. Good numbers. Good numbers of people. We're gathering, you know, folks. It's really a cool thing. We are getting more and more people. How many was it last time, Perry?
130.
130, yeah, but that was live. But then in the end,
5,600.
5,600 last time of people who viewed this, not live, but afterwards, which is very, very exciting. It means that homeopathy is alive and well, and it's moving along. And that's exactly what not only I want to see, it's what you want to see too, because when homeopathy becomes more mainstream, it's easier for you all the way around. It's easier for you to find the medicines. It's easier for you to have conversations with people. It's easier for you to avoid drugs. And when your children start getting married, they might end up marrying someone who agrees with homeopathy or even has used it in the past, like minds. It's great. We want to change the world, folks. That's what we're going to do. So tonight we're going to talk about I hate allergies, and I hate food intolerances too. And so if you're with me on this, then I know you're going to get some information tonight that might be useful. I will not, and I'm going to have to reiterate this a couple of times, I'm not going to be able to teach you everything about this medicine and how it's used, but I want to wet your whistle. I just want to get you, stimulate the idea that this medicine and others can uproot allergies. And I've seen it not only in myself, but probably hundreds, if not more than that, many hundreds of people. I work with, I oversee about 40 to 50 cases a day between my live cases on Zoom and student questions on cases, and more often client questions. And so I'm overseeing about that many per day. And it gives me a really incredible advantage because my numbers are high. And it's all about numbers. The more people you work with, the more you help, the better your understanding will grow. And I've been studying homeopathy for 30 years, and teaching it for that long too. And I've been in full-time practice for 24 years. So, but I really think a lot of the work that I've done has been related to all the mistakes I made previous to finding and learning and studying homeopathy. And that was by using essential oils. Not that it's a terrible mistake, but I counted too much on it. Herbs, vitamins. I love herbs. Love herbs. Herbs are incredible. We use them a lot in conjunction with these homeopathic medicines. Vitamins, I'm not impressed. Sorry, folks, for those who are into vitamins. I am not impressed with vitamin therapy. And a lot of the supplements can be running people down rabbit holes, and I don't like to see that. When we really want to do is not supplement the condition, we want to uproot the condition. We don't want to force the body to accept synthetic vitamin D. We want to correct the condition that's keeping the person from being able to utilize vitamin D properly. So this is so fascinating because the medicine I'm going to be talking about tonight is in my Materia Medica. We're going in alphabetical order. So my Materia Medica, and we're on Bovista, which is actually called lycoperdin Bovista, but we use the word just Bovista. And it is a puffball. And it's interesting because you would think there'd be lots of properties like a puffball. And there is some aspect of this medicine that has swelling and kind of a feeling of puffiness. But what's so fascinating, I think, about Bovista, Bovista, is that in all the years that I used classical homeopathy, it never crossed my mind. And I read constantly, and I studied constantly with many, many homeopathic doctors and educators in Toronto and New York and Ohio, New Jersey, who are from India and the Netherlands and Israel and England. And I mean, these were all top-notch, world-class homeopaths. Nobody ever talked about this medicine, Bovista, for allergies or food intolerances. Now, maybe it's because, I don't know, we didn't have an opportunity to get to it. I don't know. But when I look in other materia medicas, this is Fatak. And this is it's a wonderful book. I like Boraki. I like Fatak. These are materia medicas. These are the authors I'm talking about. Boraki is Boericke. And Fatak, this one is spelled Phatak. And I look up Bovista in this, and I look up Bovista in my concordant, which is an excellent book, Franz Vermeulen, Concordant Materia Medica. Very, very hefty book here. There's nothing said about allergies. There's nothing said about food intolerances. I don't know, not a word. And if I look it up in my repertory, and I look under Robin Murphy's Homeopathic Clinical Repertory, and I look up allergies, I don't see Bovista. I don't see it under food intolerances. I don't see it under gluten intolerance. Why is that? How could that be? Well, it's not that they were wrong, it's that they just didn't know. And the plants, and puffball is a plant, the plants and minerals and animals and etc. that homeopathy is made from are very widespread and have many, many applications. It always surprises me that, well, it doesn't surprise me. I do understand why. But a lot of times you'll find on the outside of a homeopathic bottle of a remedy, it'll give you an indication, one indication. But if you look at a materia medica like this one, or even mine, and look at all the indications for a particular medicine, it'll go on for pages. And so what they are required to do, these homeopathic pharmacological manufacturers, they need to choose something to write on this little tiny bottle. So they choose one indication. And so that doesn't mean that's all that it covers. It covers a myriad of other conditions. So it wasn't until I spent those 8 times, year after year after year, 8 separate times I spent with the Banerjees, that I learned the application of using Bovista for allergies and food intolerances. And so I am thankful to them for their sharing this with me so that I can come back and share it with you. It's not the only medicine that we can use for allergies and food intolerances. And let me also say, if you have allergies and food intolerances, I don't want to cut you short, but I want you to know this is not something that you just say, oh, I'll just take this and that'll be done with it. It's not like that. Allergies are complex. Food intolerances can often be complex as well. And so that's when I teach from my blog and in these Facebook Lives and in my podcast, I teach you based on something that's simple. If I can teach it to you simply, for you've got arthritis, you use some vitamin Roostox. You've got an ear infection, it's likely going to be Heparsil. Could be pulsatilla, could be chamomilla, but most likely it's going to be Heparsil. You've got an eye infection, conjunctivitis, I can tell you basically what to use. When it comes to, and even for chronic conditions, like I said with arthritis, that's a chronic condition. You've got a cold, aconitum bryonia, which is also a Banerjee protocol, by the way. But when it comes to a little more complex conditions, that's what I save for my courses. And look, it's not that I want you to take these courses, but wait a minute, let me rephrase that. I want you to take these courses. If you have allergies or food intolerances, it would behoove you to take my course called Allergic, or my course on Good Gut, Bad Gut, or if it's both, then you use both because you may need both. If there's anxiety that is associated with that, you can pick up a little bit of information regarding anxiety on my blog. But if that doesn't act, then you might want to take the course called Mindful Homeopathy. So look, I want you to learn as much as you can for free. But this Bovista is such a gorgeous medicine. And when used properly, and when you watch and you know how to use it, in other words, what to watch for, what to expect, then your results are going to skyrocket. So the reason I was singing The Sun Will Come Out Tomorrow is because Bovista is a medicine, and I've seen it time and time again, that has a history of being able to uproot allergies, even acute allergic responses and food intolerances. But it takes time. It may be tomorrow, not the absolute tomorrow, but the tomorrow, often a little bit more in the future. It can take weeks. Sometimes it's only a few weeks. More often it's months. Sometimes it's even a year or so of using these medicines. And the questions often come in, so what do I do meanwhile? Does it mean that I stay away from gluten? Does it mean that, can I start eating gluten as soon as I start taking Bovista? No. If you're already eating gluten, but you have a little discomfort with it, then of course you stay with it. Stay with your gluten. But if you suffer horribly and you get asthma as a result of eating gluten or wheat or other grains or strawberries or shrimp or whatever it might be, or the change of weather or chemical sensitivities, this is a medicine that will take longer to uproot those, especially if a lot of drugs have been used in this person's life and they're a little bit older. But, you know, I say that, and then it always surprises me. It kind of amazes me that a lot of times folks are able to uproot with this little bit of education that I'm suggesting that you seriously consider. It helps uproot something to the point where there is almost no allergy at all. Now, if you followed me for any length of time, you know that allergies were my mainstay. It was the way I lived from the time I was 6 weeks old until on and off, mostly on, up until my mid-30s. And it was homeopathy that dug me out of it. And I tried everything else. My mother had tried everything else. So it wasn't, as a matter of fact, interestingly, it wasn't Bovista that helped me. It was Nux Vomica. But in the very first time that I used homeopathic medicine, Nux Vomica was incredible for me. But later on, I've used Bovista, and it has helped me a great deal. So let me tell you one of the ways that I love. Let me just read this too. This is one to you. This is from my Materia Medica. This is one of the mainstay medicines of my practice and teachings. That is probably because so much of my work is related to food intolerances and allergies, along with the medicines that are specific to how the illness presents. Remember that, to help ease discomforts. Bovista is the keystone of the uprooting allergic responses. In some, I find that the reaction is certain and quick. So sometimes we see real certainty and brevity to a response when we use Bovista in conjunction with another medicine, such as if someone has hives, we might give them Urtica urens, U-R-T-I-C-A, Urtica, second word urens, U-R-E-N-S, Urtica urens. And we use that often in a 30th potency, but that's going to help with the urticaria, the hives. And you're going to use that frequently. You could also use Apis. We can use Apis in a 30 or 200, Urtica urens in a 30 or 200. And you're using, what I'm doing with my hands means we're going to use it repetitively. If it's very severe and the hives are ubiquitous, top to bottom, or getting dangerous, going into the tongue and the throat. If it's in the throat, mouth, lips, then it's going to be more likely Apis. But what do we do to help uproot it even more deeply? We use Bovista 200. So we use both If it's just plain old garden variety hives and it's not affecting the mucosa, then we're going to use plain old Urtica urens in a 30th potency, and then we're going to alternate it with Bovista 200. Urtica urens at noon, at 1, Bovista. At 2, back to Urtica urens. At 5 o'clock, maybe Bovista. So we're going to use Bovista maybe 2 or 3 times that day, and we're going to be using Urtica urens more frequently. Urtica urens and apis will help uproot the allergic response, but that specific allergic response in Bovista will go even deeper because it is a very, very deep acting medicine. And it will get to the food intolerances, etc. Now, I'm not going to teach you how to use that because, as I said, Bovista is not the only one we use for food intolerances and allergies. We can use Calcarea carbonicum. We can use tuberculinum. We can use sorinum. We can use, I'm trying to think of some others, Nux vomica. But Bovista is one of my more favorites, probably because it was so novel to me to even know to use Bovista. And it wasn't until 10, 11 years ago when I first went to work with the Banerjees at the Prasanta Banerjee Homeopathic Research Foundation that I learned to use this in this fashion. And since that time, I've backed off a little bit more from using tuberculinum, sorinum, etc. And even Nux vomica, unless it's screaming those medicines, it's screaming in the symptoms. In other words, the symptoms are very clearly sorinum, very clearly tuberculinum. But I'm using Bovista more and more frequently over the last 10 years. So I wanted to talk to you about hives, and let's see some of your questions. So folks, if you're plagued with allergies, then by all means, I urge you to consider it. It's great it can be good for eczema, we use a medicine that's for eczema, and we use Bovista, and that's how I teach this in these allergic classes. We use, when there are food intolerances and there's bloating and fatigue, we use Bovista and the medicine that's for bloating and fatigue. So we're using more than one medicine, so we're using them in conjunction with each other. Cindy says, you're speaking about me. Boy, do I need this. Yeah, I know the feeling, Cindy. I totally get it. Hi, there's someone from Jupiter. Not the planet, that's Florida. Pittsburgh, hi, hi, hi. Okay, let's see if I'm going to go way down to the bottom and see what questions have come in. Did I use Bovista for my eye? No, you know what? I did not use it for my eye. I should have. And I'm a lazy patient. Really, I'm not a good patient. It was going away. I was using the other medicines, it was going away. And I feel as though I have pretty much a handle on it. I used sorinum for my eye for this allergic response. It's been good for me. Will it uproot dairy intolerances? We've got better ones that are, if it's specifically a dairy intolerance, then good gut, bad gut. My course, Good Gut, Bad Gut, talks about that. If it's dairy intolerance plus many other intolerances, then we might consider this medicine. All right. Let's see I'm from Buffalo, but I'm in Hilton Head. Hi, Diane. That's really great. Chemical sensitivities, it can help with chemical sensitivities, but if chemical sensitivities is the mainstay, and that, I'm glad you brought that up, because the reason that my eye got as bad as it did is because it was a chemical sensitivity. It was a chemical sensitivity to the chlorine or whatever adjuncts they use in water in pools these days. And so Calcarea carbonicum, or get back to sorinum, all of that is covered in Good Gut, Bad Gut, and I show you exactly how to use it. Sense and touching and food allergies and intolerances. If you want to know what about the chemical sensitivities and the food intolerances, to be honest, you're really better off using both. But choose one, study that one, and move on to the next. If it's more of a gut issue, then by all means, start with Good Gut, Bad Gut. If there are more members of your family that have a gut issue, then by all means, go with Good Gut, Bad Gut. If it's more of an allergic response, then start with that. Have you seen Bovista uproot a peanut allergy? I have seen... let me think. there's no reason why it can't, but I'm not recalling anyone in particular. I have worked with folks with peanut allergies, and it is a food intolerance, and it's it has that, it does it. I'm kind of stuttering because I'm trying to think if I have, boy, if Shannon were here, she'd remember. I haven't seen Shannon yet. If she's there, please shout out to me, because Shannon remembers these things sometimes that I don't. All righty. So let me just let me just give it a little more thought, see if I can remember a couple of cases. I think my asthma is definitely allergy related. I would consider, if I were you, I would consider the allergic course if you've got asthma. Absolutely. Rice intolerance. So all of that, it's all part of that. It's all food intolerances. I sometimes sneeze 50 times a day and then be fine other days, thinking maybe I should try this, since, well, it's not the medicine that's specifically for sneezing. I know that you're saying this is an allergy, but what I'm saying is that this is the baseline medicine, and then we use medicines on top of that. So you're not going to get the kind of results you want, most likely, unless you use the whole picture. So we use something for this, for the fact that it's related to the sinuses and sneezing. We use another remedy that is also specific for the bloating and food intolerances. We use another medicine, and then we're also using either Bovista, Calcarb. I don't want to complicate this, but I want you to know that there's more to it, which is why I'm suggesting, by all means, folks, don't just take Bovista. Don't do it that way. I strongly urge you to, I used Ipecac, Merck, and Bovista for granddaughter. Yes, that's great. That's great. Bovista be used for allergies that don't present as food intolerances, just seasonal allergies. Yes, but you want the remedies that you're using for the symptoms of the seasonal allergies as well as. See, this is a, how would I say it? It's architecture. There's a basement built, then the walls are built, and the next floor is built, and we're adding the medicines that are specific to how it is presenting with Bovista as part of the entire structure. Okay. And in which cases would Bovista cover milk allergies as opposed to Athusa? If it's a milk allergy, it's going to be more likely Athusa, but it depends on how it's presenting too. Because if the milk allergy is presenting as bloating, we're going to consider something else. So just make sure, folks, that you know what it is that you are treating. In other words, if you're certain it's a milk allergy because you have milk allergies, I'm not suggesting that this is what you're saying here, but Amy, but a lot of times folks are making an assumption that since they have milk allergies or dairy allergies, that when their child gets sick, that it must be the same. It's not necessarily so. And so then you end up treating the wrong condition. And I'm not saying you need to go to a doctor to learn this, but you do want to test it out yourself. In fact, I find that the testing that you do is a lot tighter than these tests that are administered by allergists. I find them to be quite lacking. It doesn't take much to figure out if someone is what they're allergic to if you give it to them and they get sick. Now, obviously, you're not going to be foolish about this because some people get extremely sick, so you don't go that far. But all righty, chemical sensitivities. Yes. It's not my favorite for chemical sensitivities. It can be useful for them, but it's not my favorite. Doesn't work quite as well. And what is bloating? Bloating meaning the belly gets all full with gas mostly. It's feeling as though you've eaten a Thanksgiving dinner when all you've had is, a couple of scrambled eggs and an avocado. So, all right. I'm glad you like that analogy about the architectures. All right. Oh, let's see what else we've got. Recommendation. Severe light and sound sensitivity. Well, severe light and sound sensitivity, I do talk about that in my mindful course. Mindful homeopathy. But look at, I'm going to give you a hint I don't want to give you remedy after remedy after remedy for this condition or that, but check out the cell salts. You might cell, C-E-L-L, salts, S-A-L-T-S. And I do have a CD on that, very inexpensive, but you can learn about it certainly through other methods. And here's a great little book on cell salts called the Biochemic Handbook, which is a great one. Very inexpensive. Love this book by Former. When I first bought it, this one was, I don't know, about $4. But the first one I bought was something like $1.29. I've bought those books a long time ago. All right. What about chemical inhalant allergy? It's a little complex. I mean, those are all very good questions, but and egg allergies as well, babies with egg allergies. Keep eggs away from babies when they have, obviously. I mean, I'm sure you've already figured that out. Eggs can be difficult to digest, and wait a little bit longer till the gut is more mature, and then may find that the baby can tolerate eggs. But meanwhile, that is food intolerances is in my good gut, bad gut course. So cold urticaria. Yeah, I know. Can happen from snow. If snow gets in, when we were kids, we'd have a little gap here between the mitten, the snowsuit, and snow would get in here. And I had friends that would get urticaria from being exposed to snow directly on their skin. So Bovista made you sick. And that means it's the wrong medicine for you. It's not for everyone. It's one of my favorites, but it's not for everyone. 85% of those who suffer from a certain group of allergens or allergies and food intolerances will be aided. That leaves 15% who will not. So no worries, Mickey. That does not mean that you're lost. It just means that medicine, we move on to another one. And as I said, there are many other medicines that we can use for allergies and food intolerances. No worries. All right. I think we've got it. I think we've got a good amount of questions answered. I will see you next Monday. And I hope that you will learn as much as you can. Hang out on my blog, listen, read, study Materia Medicas. If you don't have mine, consider it. If you don't have any money and you don't want to spend a single penny on a Materia Medica, then go online, Dr. James Tyler Kent, Materia Medica. It's free and you can read it at any time. So, all right, I think I've got most of the questions answered. There were a couple long ones, so I'm sorry. Next time what you might want to do is just shorten it a little bit, and I'm happy to answer more readily. All righty, there we have it. I have to dash off. I'm teaching a class tonight, a study group, folks. So if you're at all interested in learning more, consider joining a study group. We have that all available on our site. It's called Gateway One, and when you finish with that and you meet with others on just like this on Zoom or Skype, then at the end of the 8 weeks after studying as a group, either in your living room or all remotely, many of them ask me to join them and answer their questions. And that's what I'm about to do now. I do it every Monday night and sometimes as many as 3 times a week. So, and we're reaching lots of people. Many times people are from Australia and New Zealand and Colombia and certainly all over the US and Canada. So with that, folks, I say have a happy summer. And I will see you on Monday. Mwah! God bless you all. Have a great night. Bye.